we are streaming from the Panasonic GH5, which is something I wanted to try for a long time. So I'm hoping that you can obviously see me, and I will be able to see your chat very shortly, because I'm going to be taking questions for about the next sort of 30 to 40 minutes, and hoping that you will join into the live broadcast talking about the iPhone 10 or iPhone X, as many people are going to be referring to it. Now, just if you've just joined in the stream, before we get on to the main subject of today's stream, this is a new setup for me. I've got a control panel off to my left hand side, and I've also got a new camera attached to the streaming, so you should be able to see me really nice and crisp. I'm actually streaming direct from the Panasonic GH5. So if you can give me any feedback at all early on in the chat, just let me know my audio levels are coming through nice, you can see me nice and crisp, and we'll get on to the main subject of today. Now, I will be taking questions. I will give priority to the super chat, but I will answer as many questions as I can. Big hello to IT Management. Thank you very much for joining us, and also to Michael Chandler. I really do appreciate it. If you've got any questions at all about the new iPhone 10, I've got mixed feelings about it, as you know. When the announcement was first made, I was quite disappointed with the design, with the user interface, and with the demonstrations of the user experience as well. I found it very disjointing with the inverted chin, as I referred to it in my video that I published on the channel already. And I also found it confusing that not only did Apple release something with this edge-to-edge screen, they have given, and I didn't know this at the time of recording my earlier video reaction, they have given us the ability to sort of bring a black bar in to the equation. When you're viewing back a video, for example, you can actually avoid that inverted chin area where all of the front-facing camera and front-facing sensors are. I still don't think that's a good decision on their part. I still don't think that was a good design choice, because if they're touting edge-to-edge screen, then why make us sort of cut off part of the video we're watching? That sort of doesn't make sense. And in addition to that, we've now got a different way of interacting with the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus that's different to how we're going to interact with the touchscreen on the iPhone 10. So there's some disparity between the models in their range as well, which again didn't make sense to me. Maybe it makes sense to you. I've got a few comments coming, so let's take a few comments and I'll come back to just some other things I want to talk to you about the iPhone 10. We'll maybe talk a little bit about the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus as well. So I've got some comments coming in here. I'm going to have to look at some of the tech settings for the next live stream if I use the GH5 again next time. We've got voice a little out of sync. Please do try refreshing the stream. It should have caught up now. I've got my bitrate settings set to medium, so I can give you some nice good quality video and audio. But do try refresh and see if that corrects the audio sync problem. I'll have a look at that in the next live stream just to see if I can correct that. I've got Life's Life. Hello Dave, you're talking through the speakers of my car. What a crystal clear voice. So I'm glad that the audio's coming through crystal clear. If you're driving in the car, you won't have the lip sync issues. That's really good. Hello to Nick, and also the local Aussie, and to Stan C. So really very pleased that you could all join me. Now let's talk a bit more about just some other concerns I had with the iPhone 10. Now a lot of people were saying, and I think I'm probably guilty of this myself, was saying that it's very expensive. Now yes, admittedly this is a new price bracket for Apple for a smartphone, and it's a lot to invest in a smartphone. compared to some of the smartphones that have come out recently, namely the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, the price difference between those two are not that great. So it's comparable to other flagship smartphones, and it will probably be comparable to the new Pixel 2 and Pixel XL2 that's coming out early October. So I don't think Apple are far off the mark with regards to price. I think two mistakes they did make here. One is giving us the ability to fast charge the iPhone 10, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you do have to spend another £70 to £80 to get that fast charger. I hope I'm right on the pricing there. And also, they gave us wireless charging. They made it sound as though the wireless charging was their invention, when in fact they're using the Qi wireless standard. They've got a new fancy charger out, which does give feedback to the devices you place on it. So it's got some extra features in it, but again, it's at a very premium price. And for the want of not wanting to put you off of investing in something like that from Apple, because it will be very well made, but I would love to save you some money. You know, if you are investing in the iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, or indeed the iPhone 10, you don't have to buy Apple's wireless charger. Any wireless charger that conforms to the Qi wireless standard should work. It might charge at a different rate. You won't get that feedback to the device. You can get pads that you actually place multiple devices onto charge. They should work with the iPhone 8, 8 Plus and iPhone 10. So anyway, let's go back through to some of the comments. Hello to Jordan, and also Pure Tech Reviews, and Zach and Victoriza. Hello to everyone, and Blue Doc, who's got a question here. Do you think they'll update all three phones again next year? Now, I'm not sure. I think they're setting the scene here. This is my own personal opinion, is I think they are setting the scene for next year, where they will not continue with the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus. We'll go straight to a revised version of the iPhone 10, maybe in two sizes, because they'll have ramped up production or their buying capacity of the OLED screens, and they will produce two different size versions. That's my guess, and I think it will just be called iPhone, and maybe they will be using the same sort of naming and numbering method they're using on the Apple Watch. So maybe it will be iPhone Series 2, maybe, I don't know, and we'll skip Series 1, and maybe they'll continue in that mould in the future. But great question. The local Aussie, love your videos, mate. Thank you very much, I really do appreciate it. Zach M8, or Zach mate, are you going to buy the iPhone 10? Almost called it the iPhone X there. Yes, I will be getting one in. Will it become my daily driver? I'm not sure at this stage. I would like to think that I stay within the Apple ecosystem, but I'm not sure whether I'll do it with a smartphone as well. I'm really interested in the LG V30, so that may well be my next daily driver. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Any more questions coming in? Pure Tech Reviews says £1,000 for the iPhone 10. They should have just called it the Mac phone. That is very funny. I love it. Absolutely love it. Spot on. Cujo Baki says AirPower is the name of the Qi wireless pad from Apple. So this is what Apple do quite frequently, is they take a technology that's been out for a while, has been very well established, and then they do their spin on it and give it their own name. Now, I'm not having a go at them for doing that. Good on them if they can remarket something old with a new name, but they do it quite often, and it is getting rather tiring. I said in my video that I published about the whole slew of announcements that happened from Apple that I was a bit disappointed. Right at the end of the review, I didn't really know how to finish that video without just saying I was genuinely disappointed. And when the items that Apple launched became available for pre-order today, apart from the iPhone 10, I almost had a tear in my eye, because I wasn't buying anything for me. I did buy an accessory this morning, and I did also do a lot of work on email, and I managed to get an iPhone 8 Plus coming in, a review unit. so I will still be able to bring you a video about the iPhone 8 Plus. The Apple Watch, I will still try and get one of those in as well, but I won't be spending my money on an upgrade because I've got the Series 2 here. So this morning at 8:01 AM UK time, I was genuinely saddened that Apple was sort of losing me, or losing my loyalty. Now, whether that's just to do with their announcements or whether it's to do with the problem I had with my MacBook Pro that they wouldn't sort out, maybe that sort of soured the whole event as well. I like to think it didn't, but maybe in the back of my mind that did alter my decision. It was just a not as exciting a morning for me, purely because I think Apple made some very wrong decisions with the iPhone 10. So anyway, let's come back to the chat. Have we got any super chats in yet? We've got no super chats in, but we've got some regular questions in the live chat and some comments as well. Stan C, hello Stan. Hoping the marketing name scheme would be like Mac OS instead of numbers. I mentioned that in my video as well. I totally agree. For a good couple of years I was getting frustrated because people were calling it Mac OS X when in fact it was Mac OS 10 version 10, and now they've done the same with the iPhone X, and it's actually iPhone 10. So crazy. I hope they do get rid of that sort of numbering on their devices as well. Pure Tech Reviews, Dave is the best. He helped me out to save my own arm and a leg. Awesome, pleased to hear it. And also Cujo says, what's your opinion on iOS 11 GM? Well, I'm still on the beta of iOS 11 and I found it very stable. I've been using it on my iPad Pro, haven't put it on my iPhone yet, but it's been really stable and I like the features. I like the way that's going, I really do. I wish they'd given us a proper file system on it, which they haven't really. They've done the new Files app. It is just sort of a rebranded and badged iCloud Drive app really. Oscar says, awesome idea this chat thing, Dave. Thank you very much, Oscar. I have done it before. I don't stream regularly enough. If I can get this audio sync issue sorted out between the GH5 and the microphone that's sat on top, maybe next time I'll try a USB microphone. That might cure the audio sync issues. This will become a more regular occurrence. I'm watching my battery meter on the GH5 though, because I'm still running off battery power. Haven't got an adapter for it yet. What else have we got in the chat? We have got Inda Andri. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Did you have any problems with your MacBook Pro? Yes, I did. I had a faulty MacBook Pro. It had a manufacturing fault from day one. Apple recognised the fault. They repaired the laptop, but it still came back crashing. It also came back with a misaligned screen, and they refused. Initially, they refused to replace it, and they wanted to repair it again, and I refused that second repair. I have got a video coming out on the channel tomorrow, 6:30 AM GMT, and that explains how I got the resolution. So it has been sorted. Watch that video tomorrow and all will become clear. Elvin Yu is asking, why is the audio off sync? I have talked about this very briefly. I'm using a new setup here, Panasonic GH5 with a microphone on top. I think I'm going to have to go over to this area of my editing room and put a USB microphone in for the next broadcast. Oscar says it's because my chat is faster than my mouth. Very true. John L says iPhone with no home button, no good. Just like cars with gestures and touchscreens are too complicated. It's going to take relearning the iPhone, and that's something that Apple, with all of their devices, have never wanted you to do. They've wanted you to be able to move from generation to generation without having to relearn something. And I think it's a big shame that this time around they've given us some very weird navigation disparity between different models in their range, and I think it's a big mistake. Big mistake on their part. Hello to Ryan. Ryan, you comment on so many of my videos. I really do appreciate it, and I love each and every one of you. I really do appreciate you coming into the live stream. Jenny Hodge asks, why is the maximum iPhone 10 capacity 256 gigabytes? Is that the max you can have on a phone? I think it's probably to do with Apple's pricing structure on their memory. They can't suddenly start offering iPhones with 512 gigabytes of storage and making them affordable. It's been a long known problem with Apple that when you're buying even their sort of laptops or indeed their desktop machines, that they give you the option to upgrade memory, and they always charge a premium price for it. And flash memory is still quite a volatile pricing at the moment, and it is quite expensive. So I think if they did a 512 gigabyte model, it would be way too high. I think the solution for Apple is just give in to put in another slot or an integrated micro SD memory card slot integrated in that same holder with the nano SIM card. That would be the solution. People have wanted it for a long time to be able to expand the memory. Yes, it would mean they would lose money initially because they wouldn't sell the higher capacity iPhones. But if they made it in such a way that you could only use perhaps that external memory for photos and video, for example, then people would still be tempted to buy the higher capacities. They need to give us a memory card slot. They really do. Dave, are you going to try the iMac Pro? And that's from Indanandri. Probably not. Probably not. There is something sitting behind me here that you haven't seen in any of my videos. I'm doing a new editing room tour soon, and I have made quite a lot of investment in the editing room recently, so you'll see that in the video probably around November time. Chris Riley, will there be an iPhone 9? I don't think they will. I think we'll go straight to an iPhone Series 2. I think they're going to do renaming next time around. That's just my guess. Retro Manification, what an awesome username. Hi Dave, iPhone 10, do you think your opinion will change when you get one in for review? It may well change. At the moment, I haven't had any hands-on time with it. I haven't had any dummy iPhones into the studio. I don't believe in doing that. And hopefully, I'm hoping it'll change, because I love the iPhone. I love what Apple do normally. But it's just the design. I can't get over that inverted chin at the moment. Maybe that will change once I get one in for review, which I will be doing. The local Aussie, do you think that the pricing is unfair here in Australia for 1.5k Australian dollars, or just go for the 8 at the same price as the 7 Plus? Well, I think the 8 has changed very slightly in pricing because they're doing that lower capacity and not the middle capacity now. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what you've got to take into account when you look at these prices, especially when you look at US dollar prices, is the US dollar price doesn't include sales tax. And if you were travelling to the US and then buying one and then coming back into Australia or into the UK, you would pay the value added tax or your equivalent when you re-enter your country. So yes, there is a disparity in pricing. Yes, it is expensive. And the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus are nice upgrades. You've got the same processor, same speed increases, same camera improvements. You're just not getting the new design and the AMOLED screen. So that's how you can base your choice. It'll still be a great improvement over the current generation, or I should say the old generation, because it is available to buy now. So great question though, very good question, and a really difficult decision to make. I think it was telling actually this morning when the pre-order started for the 8 and the 8 Plus that they obviously weren't as popular, because normally they would have sold out within 3 or 4 minutes and the shipping dates would have started slipping. But I checked some models almost an hour and a half, 2 hours after the sort of launch time for pre-orders, and they were still available. So it goes to prove that a lot of people are still waiting for the iPhone 10. So that's going to be the big seller. That's going to be the one that's going to sell out very quickly. Life says the iPhone 10 still isn't quite bezel-less. Correct. This is the nearest we've come to with Apple actually launching a bezel-less phone, and it has got very slim bezels all the way round, which I think looks okay, apart from that top section, which is a big mistake. Luke asks, hello Luke. Luke is asking that what's the future of the Apple Watch after Series 3? That is a very difficult question, and let's talk a little bit about the Apple Watch Series 3. Now, again, we've got speed increases. The design has stayed the design has stayed the same on the Series 3, and the only thing that's changed really is the internals, an additional altimeter sensor, and also we've got the cellular model. But in the UK, you can only use that cellular feature on the same SIM card, or sorry, on the same mobile phone operator as your iPhone. So you have to have your iPhone, for example, on EE, and your Apple Watch Series 3 cellular also on EE, which is one of the mobile phone operators in the UK. You can't have a mix between the two, and EE is the only one doing the Series 3 cellular in the UK. So it makes it a non-seller for those of us on different mobile phone operators. What's the future for it next year? Well, they're obviously going to just keep on improving the speed, maybe the capacity as well. I don't think they'll ever change the form factor. I think they keep it pretty much the same. They're going to keep the band ecosystem the same as well, so you can swap out bands on the new models. So I don't think we'll see a big change. We're just going to see incremental upgrades with regards to maybe onboard storage and speed as well, and hopefully battery life, because that's gone down, I think, on this new version. So really, really good question. Power Shield asks, has Apple lost its appeal? Everyone I know is switching to PC and Android. Well, I haven't heard a lot of people switching from Mac to PC, although I have considered it myself. I've heard a lot of people switching from iPhone or iOS to Android, definitely. I've heard a lot more people switching the other way when it comes to desktop and laptops, from Windows PC to Mac, but that's maybe just because of the people that I follow on Twitter and the people I know in my sort of personal life as well. So it's a mix, and I do think Apple are losing its appeal because they can't innovate and give new products, like revolutionary new products every single time. It's impossible for any tech company to do that, so we're just going to see slight incremental upgrades in products. You can't reinvent the wheel every time, so they're going to lose their appeal if they don't go back to the Apple that they were before, where it wasn't all about marketing and sales. It was all about design and making things so elegantly simple to use, but yet so life-changing. That's when Apple will regain its appeal. So have we got any more questions coming in? I'm sorry if I've missed any. Robert says, hello Robert, it is Bob has tuned in. Thanks for tuning in, Bob. My initial thoughts on the notch is that it's ugly. However, I feel I would eventually get used to it and not really notice it. True, you probably would get used to it, but then if you get used to it and you're not getting that full edge-to-edge display for video playback, for example, then should it really be there? Should we have to get used to something just to make it okay? I think it should be a really refined design out of the gate. Just my opinion. Jonathan Cable, I get the feeling you're losing faith in Apple, Dave. If so, why? I mentioned this earlier on in the stream. I had a problem with my MacBook Pro. They weren't receptive in sorting it out until I really pushed them. And just some of the design choices they're making, and they're really moving away from when I first experienced Apple. It was very niche, and they really cared about their customers. They've become this big consumer brand that's really about money making. I know that's business, believe me, I know it's business to make money, but that has overtaken their thought pattern, and they are really just pushing out some really bad decisions. And I think it's a big mistake. So I am losing my faith. But I still love their products. I'm using a MacBook Pro at the moment. The computer running the stream in the editing room is a Mac Pro. So I love their products. I love the ecosystem, but they are losing sight. I really do think they are. Mr. K, Dave, how is the Nomos Club doing? Very well, fella. Really good indeed. Really enjoying it. Ryan, Apple HomePod. Dave, will you get one? Yes, I will get one into review. I don't think I use it a lot. I've got an Amazon Alexa. Don't use that a lot. Very, very occasionally, just to switch a few smart plugs on and off. I've got smart plugs pretty much everywhere, and I just use it for controlling that. I don't really use it for controlling the lights. I use my iPhone for that at the moment, but I will get one in. Luke Shrubsole, what would Steve Jobs think of 2017 Apple? He would have never have let the iPhone 10 come out. He really wouldn't, not in its current state. He would have refined it and refined it. He would have found a way, I'm sure, of putting all the sensors in a very, very thin strip at the top or behind the screen, and he wouldn't have released it until he'd sorted that out. The Local Aussie, thanks for the info on my last question, Dave. I have just one more. Would you upgrade to the 10 as your primary phone for the year, or wait until next year and wait for the refined version of the 10? It's a really good question again. Really good question. I'm personally getting an iPhone 10 in to review. And if I don't like it, then no problem, because I'll just send it back to the loan company that's sending it out to me. It's not going to become my daily driver, I don't think, unless I really fall in love with it. It's hard to say at the moment because I haven't had any hands-on time, but I don't think it's going to become my daily driver. I think the phone that will become my daily driver for this year will be the LG V30. Very, very interested in that. And instead of getting a loan device in, so for example, my iPhone 8 Plus that's coming in to the Geekanoids HQ is a review unit, so that's a loan device, it will go back. The iPhone 10 will also go back, that's a review unit. The LG V30, I'm so taken with that design that I am actually buying that in, and obviously if it's complete and utter rubbish, then I would probably send it back and exercise my rights for distance selling, but I'm buying it in with money with the full intention of using that as my daily driver for at least 6 months to a year. I get review models in all the time, so that might change, but my intention is that the LG V30 at the moment will be my daily driver. Life's life. Did we mention that there's no Touch ID on the iPhone 10? Yes, we did. No Touch ID. Facial recognition or PIN code. Brave move by Apple. I love Touch ID because you push the button straight in. It's so quick. You're straight there and using the smartphone. Facial recognition, you've got to hold it up, wait for that momentary delay. Not that keen on that move either. And La1980 says the iPhone 10 should have looked like the LG V30. Very, very true indeed. Ryan asks, will Geek Points return? Unfortunately not, Ryan. It was too hard to manage. I needed some sort of automated system that would manage the Geek Points system, so that's not returning at the moment. And I've got one last question I'm going to do. Luke Shrubsole. And the only reason I'm stopping the live stream after 30 minutes is because my battery meter on the camera is flashing. So last question. This is from Luke. What do you think the future of AR or augmented reality is? Well, the demonstration was really good. I saw a couple of parody videos about it though, which really made me laugh. Are we going to really play the games after the initial sort of couple of days after the novelty factor's worn off? Probably not. Are we going to see really good apps developed that use augmented reality? Yes, we probably will. And if there's some really good apps, some fantastic apps that take advantage of the technology, I think it will be very, very good indeed and very, very useful. Imagine it being used for satellite navigation and being actually useful while you're driving. Imagine it for when you're walking around navigating areas and being able to get overlays on things for extra information. Absolutely superb. So I think for things like that it's very, very interesting. For gaming, probably in the novelty factor we'll wear off quite quickly. It's all about the apps and the user experience rather than the hardware, although the hardware does of course make AR possible. So anyway, that's it for the live broadcast. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in. I really do appreciate it. Apologies for the lip sync issues. I will try and correct that next time round. I'll try an external microphone so that we've got a little bit more control over the audio. But again, Thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Have a fantastic day or evening wherever you are.